What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to IndieQuest, the celebration of the indie and obscure. I'm one of your co-hosts today, Josh, and I'm here with the returning, the wonderful guy that had his snake in his boot, and he finally got it out and fought it, and he's here to tell the tale. It's the captain himself, Captain Drachma. Welcome back.
I am happy to be back. That snake did not stand a chance. Thank God I wasn't Trav in that situation. But I'm happy to be back. Happy to talk some indie stuff with you boys today, and specifically some little spoiler, some indie songs maybe. But how are you doing, Steve?
I'm doing so good. No snake, no boots, but I'm excited because today is an IQ OST episode. We're going to be, sharing some good indie tracks, just kind of kicking back, enjoying some music, which, I don't know, it's nice for us as the hosts because these are the low effort episodes in terms of at least for me, my mental preparation. I had to come in with a whole bunch of notes and really analyze the game I played and stuff. I just get to be this is what I was listening to at work the other day, so you guys should listen to it too.
Yeah, and then we get it all nice and edited, and everybody has a good chill. I imagine these episodes as good driving episodes of the podcast. You pop it on, listen to some tunes that you probably didn't even know indie games had as good as music as they do. So we're kind of highlighting that through sharing some songs today.
For sure. Before I was even officially on IndieQuest, I remember I would travel a lot for work, and I remember specifically putting on IQ OST episodes while I was driving places. It's the perfect, like Steve calls it, a radio show. It's perfect for in the car.
Yeah, good time. Which, again, I want to continue to give a shout out that a good friend of the show, Potomax, did put together a huge 4-hour playlist of all of our past IQ OST picks. So if you don't want to listen to us drone on, but you just want to hear the music, if you search up on YouTube IndieQuest OST, you'll find that big juicy playlist video, and you can go listen to it anytime. I think because it's been so long since we made an episode, I think it encompasses all the previous episodes other than this one that we're about to do. So it gets you up to date.
Yep.
Yeah, it's I think that these kind of being more infrequent is a nice treat for people. Honestly, it's it's a nice surprise. It's an OST. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So I guess we're going to go around the table here, bring a song. We don't know what the songs are, and we're going to share them with the class. And Captain Drachma is the first one on the table here. What's your first song?
So I decided to put this one as my first song, seeing that I was first on the list, because I had a feeling that there was a possibility that one of you two would also bring a song from this game, and I wanted to be the original person and you guys to be the copycats.
Okay.
So, we are first going to be listening to The Frozen Peak from Sea of Stars. So that was the Frozen Peak, the day version specifically. That's something we talked about in our Sea of Stars episode. Coolest thing about that game is there is a day and night version of almost every song, where the night version is just like more mellow and a little bit chiller, and the day version's upbeat. I specifically brought the day version for this because it is just bumping, and I love it so much. What did you guys think?
I think it's great. Obviously, incredible song. I love that. I can't recall. I don't think either of you two have played The Messenger, right? But it is a remix, or it uses the same melody as a song from The Messenger, which is very common in Sea of Stars. They do a lot of callbacks back to The Messenger and like little nods and winks, and certain songs are remixes or plays on or like modifications of songs from The Messenger. So it's like I'm getting a 2-for-1 of nostalgia here when I listen to it. I'm like, oh yeah, Sea of Stars. Oh yeah, The Messenger. Let's go.
I think that song specifically is more... In The Messenger was more 8-bit, if I remember correctly. It was more like chiptune-y, right? And then it's like almost HD-ified, I guess, for Sea of Stars. But yeah.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the MCU, the Messenger Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
So
pretty much.
Okay. Oh yeah, I mean, Sea of Stars, just banger soundtrack all in all. I actually listened to this one quite a bit. I'm gonna slight spoilers for mine, but I didn't bring anything from the game because I kind of figured you guys would. Then hey, I got proven right on that one, so awesome.
I didn't because I thought I already did, because I forgot how long ago Sea of Stars came out. So unfortunately, I don't think you're gonna get any more Sea of Stars unless Seth really surprises us with 2 songs from the same game.
I will say I'm nervous for one of my other songs too, because I think that there's a possibility that one of you could cross over with me, but we will see.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
We will see. I'm not going to tell you because I might be that person. And for some reason, in all things IndieQuest, we have to be little coy boys, okay? Even with our song picks, we have to be like, ooh, what a little mystery. What did I pick?
For the audience, for the listeners, we have a doc that has all these YouTube links, right? I will not click on the link because it shows you what the song is. I do not click on it until the host says this is the song. So I'm surprised. I'm as surprised as everyone out there. So
yeah. Same here, and I know same with you too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's it adds to the suspense. Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah, we love the pageantry over here at IndieQuest. But all right, I have to remind myself what my first one is. Okay, so my first song, I think it's no surprise that I was going to bring a song from this game. This is kind of a dark song, a little bit maybe intense, depending on how you look at it, but one that I think is pretty dang listenable. And it is, of course, from the Ultros soundtrack, a game that I spent much time on our previous episode raving all about. This, in particular, is a song called Slake Moth. It plays during one of the earlier boss encounters, and it's a little more... Well, we'll talk about it after the fact, but it's a little different from some other stuff on the soundtrack. So why don't we give it a listen to Slake Moth from the Ultros soundtrack by Rat Vader. So yeah, that was a kind of an intense song. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It is pretty different from other songs on the soundtrack. The rest of the soundtrack is not quite that like oppressive. It is a little more synthy, a little slower, sometimes even a little more upbeat. But that one in particular had a couple advantages. One, it's a good song and I wanted to bring it. But two, it's also one of the few songs on the soundtrack that is like short enough to reasonably put in an IQ OST episode. It's not a 12-minute track.
Yeah.
So that's what we brought. What'd you think?
I thought it was awesome. Honestly, it built in the way that I think a lot of boss fight songs do, and the kind of melancholic, foreboding melody, I guess, that it has reminded me of like Dark Souls boss fight music in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like it. I mean, I obviously love those too, right? It always reminded me of a lot of those. Maybe I wouldn't seek out intentionally on my own, but they work so well in those boss fights. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think it's pretty like an atmosphere. Like you could feel the tension of the boss fight, which is nice. And then I was commenting while we were listening that I can kind of hear like that distorted, like, you know, you're like FM, like you're off the radio station by a 0.1%, you know, on an FM tuner or whatever. That's pretty much what you hear in the background, which adds to like the, I don't know, kind of like uneasy feeling. Cause I feel like that game has a lot of like, there's a boss fight playing while we're watching it too. So I was kind of looking at the visuals, you know, so it's kind of like, it's beautiful, but it's kind of gross at the same time. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of has that feeling in the song, which is awesome.
Yep. Very consistent with the energy of the game, or of the boss fight at the very least. So yeah, really good soundtrack. I recommend folks check it out. The whole thing.
Awesome.
All right. Well, it's my turn now. I'm pulling this up so I have everything in front of me. This game comes from a game that's not on the quest log, but I played last year or 2 years ago. I think it's been a couple of years. I never actually completed this game, which anyway, I'll just go ahead and say it's from Arcade Paradise, and I think I've mentioned this a couple times on the podcast. So basically the premise of the game is you have a laundromat, and you're doing like laundry in the laundromat, cleaning it up, and then you're building an arcade in the back. And one of the things you can do in the arcade is build a jukebox and purchase songs on the jukebox. And this was my favorite track that was on the jukebox, available to purchase in-game for Arcade Paradise. So I've listened to this song many, many times playing that game, just folding laundry and cleaning up people's trash around, a laundromat. So it's pretty good. It's called Outrun the World by Mono Memory. So yeah, Arcade Paradise is like, it's a vibes game, which obviously the song is very much that vibe, 80s, early 90s, just chilling, like and actually like in the arcade, it has that neon glow look to it and everything. And there's a lot of old school arcade games in it. So imagine that playing and you're just kind of like, it's a little bit of a management sim and then the arcade games in the background. And, just like I said, it's vibes. So what do you guys think?
I thought it was awesome. We were talking while we were listening. It reminded me of so many 80s movies. I feel like I could see it at, like listen to it, when a couple is watching a drive-in movie in an 80s movie, or I feel like it could easily go into Rocky V or something when he's looking out a window while it's raining, right, wondering how he's going to prepare for his next fight. Like it's just, perfect for that.
Yeah, it captures the right amount of like, I don't know, playful cheesiness where you can tell that it's an homage to that time period, but also like that music in its time was also a little cheesy, so it like captures the authenticity of that at the same time. It's it also, that would be perfect to just have like playing directional audio out of the corner of one part of the arcade.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
So Steve, your turn again. No, it's not Steve's turn.
Nice try.
No.
It's my turn to let Seth introduce his next track.
It is my turn.
I'm going around the faces on my screen instead of like the actual list here. Okay, go ahead, your turn.
Okay, so I need to remind myself. This game I talked about in an IQ. Maybe in the summer, or I guess probably a little bit later, maybe fall time, I think. And I expressed how much I enjoyed the OST of this game. And this song specifically is super chill. One of my favorite. Honestly, the entire soundtrack's super good. But this one is really chill. Kind of brings us back down from my last song. I like to go up and down a little bit. But this one is Luminescent Hideaway from Smushy Come Home. So that was Luminescent Hideaway, specifically from a level in Smushy Come Home where you're running around in a cave area and there's like lights lighting up certain sections. It's that song fits it so well. But what did you guys think of that song?
Really good. Honestly, it reminded me of like a little bit more, slightly more mellow, but a little bit more synthy electronic version of something that would be in like a short hike. Very like lighthearted, just very pleasant and very easy to listen to. Kind of just puts you in a little bit of a better mood.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you said cave, I was like, yep, that's perfect. It sounds like a dripping cave, but a song. It even has like dripping sounds to it, like the actual musically it does. So perfectly fits it. I like how it kind of builds up and then kind of like mellows you back out. And it's just like a nice, is it a looping track? Probably.
Yeah,
like
it loops in game. But that's one of the most interesting things about Smushy is not that song specifically, but the majority of the songs, 4 or 5 of the songs are dynamic. I talked about it a little bit on the episode where depending on the part of each area you're in, the song will change. The instruments will change very subtly. I didn't want to bring one of those songs here because they don't work that well. I mean, they do sound good. There are those tracks on YouTube, but they don't work quite as well because they're not. It doesn't have that dynamic feel as it does in game, right? So, but this one is one of my favorite songs that is just a straight track. So,
I gotta say,
awesome,
pretty dang good. Thank you for bringing it. I would put that one into like a nice, just like relaxing in it at dusk kind of playlist.
For sure, for sure. Steve, what do you got?
All right. Well, track number 2. We're going to a slightly different vibe. Not going to be quite as intense as the first one here. This is a song from a game that we have not talked about, as far as I can recall, on IndieQuest. I believe it is yet to appear. But it's pretty well known. People will recognize it. It's from Firewatch. And this song is called Thoroughfare Hike. So if anyone's listened to the Firewatch soundtrack before by Chris Remo, which is an incredible soundtrack, highly recommend it. This song in particular is slightly different in tone to the rest of it. You think of like very kind of gentle guitars, sitting out in the Pacific Northwest out in the woods. And this one is like a little, just ever so slightly more intense, like a little bit more going on because without spoiling anything in the game, folks who have played will know that the song plays behind one of the more quote unquote action packed parts of the game for a game that really has no action. So I think it'll make sense when we listen to it. So why don't we just dive right in? This is Thoroughfare Hike by Chris Remo from the Firewatch original soundtrack. back. We're on the other side of 2.5 minutes of slightly ominous sounding, but still somewhat relaxing guitar, that's kind of the tone of Firewatch. So, there's a little bit of like, I'm a little bit anxious, but I'm also just chilling. I'm also just hanging out in the woods. So, what do you guys think?
It really feels like you're sitting on a log. And the fire's kind of like smoldering, but you think you see something in the distance. Yeah. And that song starts playing. That's what I feel like.
Yeah. You're like, my fire's going out, and that's a good thing. But there's a fire over there, maybe, and that's a bad thing because there shouldn't be a fire over there.
Maybe I should watch. For the fire. Okay.
Well, I'm glad you guys enjoy it. Also, I just got to say, some of the best like soundtrack album art out there. It's so good, so clever. So go if you're not going to listen to the song, people, go appreciate the cover of the soundtrack to Firewatch.
Yeah, I just think that Firewatch just has a nice art style anyway. Like it has very screenshotable like art to it, so that just adds to it.
That Ollie Moss, man, can't beat him
for sure. Josh, song time.
My turn. Song time.
Song time.
Okay. All right. I brought a song from another game I brought up recently when I was talking about Gunfire Reborn, but it's not that game. It's RoboQuest. It's a roguelike game, shooter, very colorful, cartoony art style, very fun atmosphere, and very fun soundtrack. This song is one that has been in my head, stuck in my head for probably the first time I booted up this game. So this song is called Journey from the OST. It's not from Journey. It's a song called Journey from the RoboQuest OST. This song plays between the maps. So basically you'll do like a desert area and then you're going to like the city and you'll see a little car hopping along and this song will be playing in the background. So let's check it out. It's called Journey from the RoboQuest soundtrack. So yeah, the game, when you're playing it, it's a very twitchy and fun and just fast-paced, very colorful video game. Like, it's cel-shaded look to it, so you know you can kind of get that atmosphere just from this music. A lot of the music in here is, I would say, adjacent to this. It's fun and poppy, and then there's sometimes it gets more metally when you're like really getting into the dirt and you're trying to shoot things really fast. But this, I would say, is the tone of the game in a song, which is nice. So what do you guys think?
It's good. It's very high energy, very like pump, 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 pump. It's almost something that could be in like a 3D Sonic soundtrack or something. I don't know. It makes me want to move fast in whatever video game I am playing.
Yeah, I mean, upbeat and fun. I think if you aren't tapping your toe while listening to that song or bobbing your head slightly, I feel like it's impossible not to do something like that while listening to that specific song. So,
yeah, I've just been doing the dishes, just na, 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 na. You know, it's just in my head constantly lately. So yeah, it's you're welcome, listeners. You're welcome.
It's perfect.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Oh, your turn, Mr. Captain Drachma.
So for this one, I have to ask you guys a question. And I think I sort of know what the answer will be. But
this is a Shantae song, I swear to God.
It's not a question of whether this song should be brought to IndieQuest, Steve. The question is, have you guys ever found a new genre of music in an indie game that you didn't think you would, or you didn't enjoy previously, but you're like, oh, I actually really enjoy that genre of music, that type of song? Like where you went in and initially you're like, this isn't something I would normally listen to, but you actually like it after you listen.
Yeah, I couldn't like pin it down to a specific genre, but there's just sort of like an energy. You can see it in a lot of the picks I bring to IQ OST, of sort of like a slower, almost like vapor wavy, shoegazy kind of synthy electronic that I didn't really listen to a lot of before video game soundtracks. But then I listened to more stuff like, you know, like Citizen Sleeper soundtrack and things like that, and I get really into it. So I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's like the lo-fi, like, beats the chill 2 type of vibe. I never really cared about it until I played some games that had it in there, so, yeah.
So, what about K-pop? I bet you did not think...
Always been a fan, but I'm surprised.
I bet you did not think that I would be bringing a K-pop song to IndieQuest. So, I played a game last year that I did not bring to IQ. And I think maybe we mentioned it briefly in our Game of the Year episode, but it's called Sonobi. And it is a Korean-developed game where you swing through levels with a guy that has a extension arm, sort of like Bionic Commando, except for twitchier than Bionic Commando, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Most of the music in that game, all of it's really good, but most of the music in that game is more metal-leaning, harder, except for this one. So this is called Mari's Theme, and I kind of can't wait to hear you guys' opinions of this one. All right, so that was Mari's theme. Josh, we discussed that song is very different from a lot of the other kind of the mood of the other songs, right? In Sonaby, that song plays when Mari is telling your player character like the plan for the next mission, and it is such it's like a cartoon almost. It's like cartoon drawings, and it is so funny. Mari is such a good character, and that theme fits her so well. But what did you guys? Josh, you've obviously heard it in game. What did you think of it, Steve?
Really good, very high energy. You know, you said K-pop, and like 100%, but it also had like just like an electronica, like clubby kind of vibe to it.
Yeah,
right? Like I imagine like a bunch of like lasers and fog machines and people shuffling about as I'm listening to it.
Korean club music, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
The funniest thing about that, you guys probably just like listened to it or had like the little link in the corner of your screen. But if you go to the actual YouTube video for that and scroll down the comments, every comment is in Korean. It's wild. There's no English. It's just all Korean. It's awesome.
That's great.
We love to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I told the listeners, but I have been playing this game literally last night. I was just like, oh, I didn't expect this song from the game I was just playing. It's been one I've been just kind of picking away with on my Steam Deck here and there. Pretty cool game. Who knows if it'll be on the main quest, side quest, or we bring it to the quest log at all ever, but maybe check it out if that's of interest to you. But definitely a cool game and a unique pick out of that soundtrack is that song.
Yeah.
It's very different from everything else.
It is.
So
it is. I love it though.
I like it.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's very jaunty, I would say.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Steve.
Nice. All right. My next track, my penultimate track, is going to be one from a game that I haven't talked about too much here. I did talk about it for listeners of Polykill, so folks may be familiar with it from my time discussing it over there. It's a game called Etherborn, which is kind of like a gravity-focused perspective puzzler type of deal. Pretty short game, pretty succinct, one that I enjoyed my time with. You know, it didn't maybe knock me 10 feet back, but I still had fun playing through it. And the soundtrack is all just very light. It's like, it's the most like inoffensive. It's like if there's indie game elevator music, just like stuff that no one could take any issue with. That's the type of song that's in here. And so I just plucked one of them out to give folks kind of like a sample, a little bit of a taste. This is actually the song that plays during the credits of the game. So we will check it out. Again, from the Etherborn soundtrack by Gabriel Garcia. yeah, that is the credits theme from Etherborn. Nice and relaxing, kind of checks all the boxes for a chill indie game soundtrack. You got that toy box style piano, you got those slow strings, you got a little bit of that what Josh believes to be an oboe in there. just kind of, just runs down the list. Just good, pleasant listening.
It's just like how I believed Mari's theme to be Korean pop, even though it was maybe just Korean. Who knows? But we never claim to be musical experts here, so don't flame us in our non-existent comments. But yeah, I love that song. Very relaxing, very chill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a nice lullaby feel to it, which super. We're running the gambit on like styles here, so
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, speaking of running the gambit, I brought a song, another one.
Oh,
who'd have thought?
So there's a game.
Yeah.
There's a game I brought to the side quest this year or last year. It's all the same year.
Yeah.
It's times a flat circle. It's a game called El Paso Elsewhere, which I don't know if you guys ever tried it out or anything, but I think the thing to highlight from this game is the story and the music. I think that was one of the biggest highlights of the game. So at first I'm like, all right, let me go to the soundtrack and pick a song. There's hip hop tracks in the game. And I started listening to some of the hip hop tracks in the game, and I'm like, this is a little too edgy for IndieQuest. Let's dial it back. So there's two sections to the actual soundtrack. There's a part 1 that's more like the score, and that's where this song is from. And then there's a part 2 that's like the hip hop soundtrack, which there's a song called like Break Shit, and like there's a bunch of like it, and it's a pretty brutal sounding lyrics and things like that. So I was like, let's not go there. So this one's kind of more like a background, like nice, like I guess maybe like electronic sounding song that kind of gives you that I'm a vampire hunter type of vibe. So it is Eulogy by RJ Lake from the El Paso Elsewhere OST. So yeah, definitely a lot more chill than the actual like hip hop version. Like the hip hop version sounds like dude pissed off at the world, rapping about stuff. There's a lot of like atmospheric music like this in the game, and just think about it, this just kicks in, and then when the drop hits, like a bunch of zombies and vampires and like creatures come out that you have to shoot with your shotguns in slow mo. So it really sets the tone for the game, which is pretty cool. So what'd you guys think?
It feels a little Matrixy in a way, like Walking in the Rain in Matrix or something. I mentioned as we were talking, or as the song was playing for us and we were chatting back and forth, that it reminds me a lot of the Katana Zero soundtrack, and I love that soundtrack. That was a very good song. So great pick, Josh.
Good. It's good driving on a rainy night music.
Yeah,
that's what I would say. Very.
Yes, agreed.
It's like it's chill, but it's also got a little bit of like a pace to it, which I appreciate. And it's a little tragic. You go and you look on the soundtrack, and all of this side of the album, all of the like synthy stuff, has like 1/20th the views that the other side of the album does. So people know what they want when they come to the soundtrack, but it's like this side seems pretty freaking good too.
Yeah, I mean I actually do really think that the rap album is, for what it is, it's good. It's very like underground rap feeling, which is nice. But I think that go check it all out. Yeah. I think that I know that they put out a vinyl for this, and it has like both sides and everything. Like it's actually really legit music, and it's really solid listen. So yeah,
very cool.
Well,
awesome.
Drachma's turn.
Yes, my final song. So, not that I have a favorite child of songs that we brought today, but this one I felt like had to be my final song because it was from one of my all-time favorite games of 2023. This was one of the ones where I was worried that Josh specifically might bring a song from this game as well. I guess we will see. Mm-hmm. This song is probably from the soundtrack that I listen to most often, at least recently. It is called Undercity Lights from A Space for the Unbound. right, so that was Under the City Lights from A Space for the Unbound. That song is last year's Heart to Heart. I don't know if you guys remember that song from Beacon Pines. Love that song. Could listen to it anytime. Whenever I'm listening to the Space for the Unbound soundtrack and it gets to that song, I stop what I'm doing and just listen to that for 3 minutes. I love that song so much. So, what did you guys think?
I like it quite a bit. It's like we were talking as it was playing that. It's very kind of early 90s. It has kind of like an anime energy to it, like a little bit of a slice of life. This is going to be such a worthless touch point for anyone, but it reminds me a lot of, there's a guitarist that I listen to called C2I, SITHU space AYE. And he's just like a normal kind of like prog rocky like YouTube guitarist, just like look how good I am. But he released completely different to anything else he's ever put out. He released something called the Senpai EP, which is him playing like kind of proggy versions of music that he feels like would be in the backdrop of an anime. And it's clear in a way his best album. It's so good, and it has the exact same energy as this song. So please, folks, go listen to that one too, and then listen to this one again, because it was really freaking good.
Honestly, Josh, you should link that, because I want to listen to that myself now.
One of the songs, the first song off that album is called "Oh Shit, I'm Late for School." So that's that's the energy of that EP.
Okay, I will.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I can see this. You saying anime just instantly makes me think of like an early Dragon Ball episode of him just like going to the store and just like getting food and stuff with the, with Krillin or whatever. I know Dragon Ball is like the touch point. I think it's just because of Akira Toriyama is in my head right now because of last week. Anyway, the main thing I could say from the song, it's a banger, obviously, but the bass is the main character of that song. So you gotta love it.
God, that bass is just so subtle, right? Like some bass can be like, oh man, that rocks, but that's so subtle, but they stop all instruments and just let that bass play. Sometimes it's just so good. Love it. So, all right.
Guilting me even more for not having played that game. All right.
Yeah, got to get around to that one, Steve.
Good pick.
But speaking of Steve, what's your last song?
My last song, not going out with any particular bang. This isn't my favorite of the songs I picked. They just dropped in a random order. This happens to be the fourth one. We got one from another game that I brought not long ago, but from a game that came out quite a while ago. This is the main theme from Steam World Dig. So for many of you, this might be a little bit of a nostalgic tune, but for those that have never heard this before, appreciate its kind of mix of like future synth meets Western, whatever you want to call it. So here it is. So yeah, if you were sitting there today and you're thinking to yourself, well, damn, I wish I had, whatever the halfway point between cowboy music and the Metroid Prime soundtrack is.
Seriously.
There you go. Great song, and one that hopefully brings some folks back to a simpler time. How'd you enjoy that?
I enjoyed it the way I did back then, nostalgically. I'm nostalgic for it now, but it feels like a song. All the songs in that game feel nostalgic as soon as you listen to them. There's sometimes there's soundtracks just like that, and I think that's kind of what indies do in a lot of way. They recall a different time in video games, and that's kind of what SteamWorld Dig does, right? I mean, it's a game that came out in the 2010s that could have come out in the late 90s, right? And that's kind of what it does. So yeah, great pick, Josh. What'd you think?
Yeah. Oh, it's an excellent track. This is such a random touchstone, but every time I hear the cowboy, like the whistle, the tumbleweed vibe, the only thing that pops into my head is 5-0 Goes West.
Seriously,
like this is seriously every single time. I watched that movie a million times as a kid.
Me too.
It's just like forever ingrained in my psyche, I guess. But anyway, yeah, that's what the song reminded me of. Is 5-0 Goes West. Solid classic movie. So go watch that. No, but it's a good track. I loved it.
Speaking of that movie, this is a slight tangent. I love the part where they're walking by each other in the desert, and it's like, "Hi, Mirage 5-0. Hi, Mirage Tiger," because they think they're Mirage.
Yeah,
but it's actually each other, and they just walk by each other as they're looking for water.
It's so good.
It's so good. Josh, your last song. Can't wait.
I actually think the last track here is a good one to bring us out. Some people might argue this game isn't indie. It's not Shantae, I promise you. It is Ori and the Blind Forest. So some people might say, oh, this is not an indie game because Microsoft backed them, etc., etc. I consider this an indie game. And I think it has an excellent soundtrack, and it has like a running theme throughout it. There's like a nice piano, what does that called? Like a motif throughout the entire game. And this includes that. This is kind of more like a climax moment of the actual storyline. A lot of big, huge things happen in the story. I'm not going to spoil everything. But yes, it's a very nice and touching track, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. It's called The Light of Nibel, featuring Airily Brighton from the Ori and the Blind Forest OST. So what did you guys think? Oh, honestly, I was thinking about it before I get into what you guys thought. I'm like waving my hands like people can see me on the podcast. Anyway, it is an indie game, and I was telling the guys that it's kind of like likening Journey as an indie game, because like PlayStation had some backing for it. This is similar to that with Ori, and I don't know, Ori and the Will of the Wisp might be pushing it a little too far, because Microsoft owns Moon Studio now, so it's kind of like it's a gray area, but I would still consider that indie.
No,
but anyway, awesome music, right?
Great soundtrack, great game. That one brought me back. I really liked Ori. I honestly wouldn't hate to go back and play it again, and I wouldn't have any reservations about any of us bringing Ori in the future, other than me and Seth, throwing hands about Shantae for the content, and because, well, no, mostly for the content. We're really not that particular. It's a vibe,
no,
right? It's
yeah.
If you're loving it, go ahead and bring it.
Yeah, it's like a loose definition at this point, I feel like. But yeah, I think the soundtrack all in all for Ori is just the whole package. Like, it actually has like a beginning, middle, and end, just like the story of the game. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like the denouement of the story is that song right there, which is just awesome. So What do you think, Captain?
I thought the song was great. That soundtrack is great. I've played some of that game we discussed while we were listening. Wasn't exactly my jam, but the music was always my jam. Very good music. And in regards to the whole indie conversation, I feel like there's certain games that just feel indie, and Ori feels indie, regardless of whether it, you could squabble over whether it is. Another game recently that came out that looks and feels a little indie to me is the new Prince of Persia game. I'm not saying it would ever be an indie game, but it feels a little bit indie. It feels a little bit retro. Yeah. So, that's how that makes me feel. But anyway, great pick.
Yeah, so I'm bringing Prince of Persia next episode.
Yeah. You do that, and I'm bringing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because that's where all my time
and then all of a sudden this thing devolves, and we are no longer on the network. So
it's from IndieQuest to Indie.
Sort of indie.
IndieQuest.
Yeah, Indish. That's good. I love it.
Well, that was our IQ OST episode. Honestly, if you guys enjoyed that, we can do these more often. I feel like we had a little bit of a gap there. So if this is something you want, maybe like every 3 months or, every other month, or, just let us know if you want this more often, and we can make it happen. We enjoy doing them. Like we say, we chit chat while the song's playing, just enjoy and vibe out. We're just hanging out, just a few buds listening to some music, and it's a good time. So, yeah, I think that's going to do it for the show today. We'll do a quick round of plugs. We always kind of keep these a little short and snappy at the end of our music-specific episodes. So you can find the show, IndieQuestPod@gmail.com. Send us questions, comments, concerns. Hey, if you want more of these episodes, send us a comment over there. Send us an email. You can find the show on Twitter or X at IndieQuestPod. Where can they find you on the interwebs, Steve?
Twitch and Twitter as Blinkoom is the best place to find me. How about you, Seth?
You can find me at Captain Drachma on Twitter, and of course in the Polymedia Discord, best place on the internet. And if you want to get in that Discord, go to your local Patreon and type in Polymedia. You'll find us there. Josh, where can they find you?
You can find me at Frantic Society on Twitter, and you can find more shows on our wonderful network, the Polymedia Network, at polymedianetwork.com. So check that out if you want to find some nostalgia podcasts, some movie podcasts, some video game podcasts, more video game podcasts. There's a lot to love over there, so go check that out. And I guess we can close it out with some good word from... Who wants to go? You guys, should I pick on somebody?
I'll go
okay.
For this one. I think maybe we always do it at the end of these episodes, but Spotify has had comments for a little while, but I feel like this type of episode is perfect for the comments section. So, everyone listening, recommend some songs to us from your favorite indie games. Either you can just type in a favorite indie game, just go listen to the whole thing, or specific songs, and we'll seek them out. So, appreciate it, everyone.
Bye.